All right, boys, welcome back to another phenomenal episode of Podium Talk. Today we are joined by Sequoyeth Simpson. He is a 75 kg lifter from UGA. He's the treasurer for CCPL, and he's very involved. Overall, he's a great person, great athlete, and really easy to talk to. Made this podcast fun to do, and we even talked for 2 hours after the podcast, but he's got a lot to say, and hope you all listen to the end. Welcome to Podium Talk.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to another phenomenal episode. This episode, we're joined by a really special guest, Sequoyeth here. Sequoyeth is my little brother. Known him for a while. 2 days older than him. Love to have him here. Let's start it off with the training recap. Tony?
Your little brother, that's sweet. I mean, y'all, I can see it. I can see it a little bit, but training recap. So I guess basically, yeah, I guess I would say I'm as strong as I've ever been. So I'm pretty happy, honestly. Finally where I need to be, and I'm like just in time. I've got about 3 months left until my next national meet. So perfect timing, honestly. I think I have like a perfect amount of time to like hit the numbers that I want to hit, or at least close to them. So I'm thankful. What about you, Eli?
Pretty decent. We're going in. We're not getting hurt. Trying to stay healthy, making the Cnats, see what we're going to do from there. Living life, squatting some weight. Hopefully we can figure out benching. But how you been, Sequoyeth?
First off, thank you guys for having me on. This is awesome. And for training recap, I've been doing pretty well. I learned how to squat, so that's been working. And like, right, dude, I needed it. And I don't know, I've had a little pec injury, just a little minor pec strain, but I feel good. I bench pain free for the first time last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, and I was on deload this week. So hoping to put up a crazy bench coming up soon. And yeah, just prepping for seeing that, just getting ready.
I feel we're definitely going to talk about your bench later because for your weight, your bench is crazy. But we'll talk about it later. Let's just introduce you before we forget. Who are you? Why are you so awesome? Go into all that.
Well, I'm Sequoyeth. I'm a fourth year at the University of Georgia. I am not Eli's little brother, even if he wants to tell you that I am. And I'm treasurer of the Classic City Powerlifting Club. Um, More about me. I'm from Alpharetta, Georgia, or Johns Creek. I'm like near the line, so it can be either one.
Mhm.
Usually growing up, I played a lot of sports. I started off playing baseball. Then I kind of transitioned into basketball for a little bit. And I started lifting when I was like a sophomore or junior in high school.
Cool.
And yeah, like everybody else, like I saw Russ on Instagram and I was like, oh, I want to be like that guy. He's huge.
Of
And
course.
yeah, I found out about powerlifting, started getting into it, and like we're here now, I guess. So yeah.
Mhm. So speaking about Classic City, how long have you been the treasurer and how long have you been involved in that club?
This is my second year being treasurer, and it's my third year being involved in the club.
Mhm.
Um, for those of you that are here like a couple years ago or like know of the club, um, Josh a couple years ago, that might be familiar with a few people. He was president of the club, and then that's the year that I met Bryce actually, because me and him had a class together.
Mhm.
And Josh said he was stepping down as president, like a couple of people were graduating, and we weren't gonna have a club. So Bryce actually texted me, like he DM me on Instagram or something, and he was like, "Hey, like, what do you think's happening with the powerlifting club?" And he knew Kenya through Fueled, so it was the three of us, and we were like, "What if we just started the club back again? Like, would that be pretty cool?" We knew a few other people too, like that were gonna be interested in joining, so we were like, "Okay, what if we just started up and get it going?" And it's gotten way bigger than I thought it would be. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd have more than 20 or 25 people in the club. And I think right now we have like close to 45 members in our group chat,
Mhm.
maybe more than that. So it's honestly been really cool. It's been a great experience. Like going to States this weekend to support people that I never thought I'd be able to support. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah. So taking that transition, they're basically the pioneer, one of the pioneers of what Classic City is now. Like there were two other clubs before, but then, like you said, you and Bryce had to recreate and find your own thing. How do you feel like that transition is going to be leaving it after you graduate, going into your career, kind of maybe being near Trueborn, as we talked about before the pod? How do you think that transition is going to go? And, what are some emotions you have about leaving all the people back?
I guess I'll talk about like both sides. I guess from a club perspective, we have a lot of people that we feel confident leaving the club in the hands of. Um, but like we've met a lot of strong people like through being here, and they're like obviously they're good people as well. That's why we have them on. We have our exec board, people that are going to run to be on our exec board. So I feel really confident about how the club's going to go in the future. And for me personally, it's kind of a lot of mixed feelings. Like I'm ready to like move on and like go to the next stage of like my life because for me it's going to be more like training based and less like not like I wouldn't say politics, but like semantics and like figuring stuff out, logistics. Um, but also like it's been really cool like going into Ramsey and having people like, hey, like, are you in the powerlifting club? Like, how can I join? Like, what do you guys
Yeah.
do? And like I never like realized how big of an impact it had on people because like I guess like that's how I started. Like that's the only reason I'm doing it is because I asked people and they were like, oh, this is really cool. Like this is what you do. Like this is a meet. And I'm like, oh, like that's awesome. So being able to have that effect on like so many people that are just like starting their college journey or like even like juniors and seniors and like just want to get into powerlifting is always something I'll be very grateful for because I never like thought that I'd be able to affect somebody else's life or like be a positive influence in anything more than a friend or like just someone to talk to. So
Mhm.
that's definitely a part I'll miss for sure.
That's so real, bro. That's such a good answer. Wow, man. Well, yeah. So I guess, well, Eli, did you have another
Yeah.
question? I'm
So what
sorry, you were on a
you're
roll.
graduating, you're graduating this spring. What is your major in?
I'm a finance and management information systems major, so double major.
Beautiful.
And yeah, my job after I graduate's in finance though. So that's like my primary.
But enough about the club. Let's talk about you. Obviously, you're important there. Let's talk about you here. So you said you started training your sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
When did you start specifically squat, bench, deadlift, wanting to powerlift training?
Um, Tony, I think that meet like the Atlanta Open that we were talking about earlier, I think that was 2020. I think that's when that was. So I would say like a few months before that. Was it
Oh,
2020?
you start
2021?
you. I think it was 21.
Okay. Then yeah, it was like a few months before that. So I think that was in July. It was right next to my birthday. I went to compete next to my birthday. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna start in like March of 2021.
That's when you started lifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I had done like bench and stuff before that, but like I never specifically powerlifting trained.
Okay. So going into the Atlanta Open, because yeah, context. Sequoyeth and I both did our first meet in the Atlanta Open of 2021 at Madhouse Strength Gym. That was honestly like that was the meet that got me into it. So like just lots of nostalgia. But yeah, I want to get into that a little bit more. So how did like back then were you kind of just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this meet, no preparation, or did you have a coach? Do you have a program? Like what did that look like
Um,
back then since you were in high school?
yeah, it was honestly really weird. So, first off, that is still like the best meet environment I've ever been in. Like for me competing, that was awesome. And I had a coach. So, my coach's name is James D'Antoni. He works with a lot of Olympic lifters too. Um, I knew him through one of my friends that was powerlifting competing at the time. I met him there because we were just training together, and me and him really hit it off. Like we found a really good like connection talking about starting off like where I wanted to be in a certain amount of time, even though I didn't really know like what I could do or like how progression worked. But yeah, like we had a really good conversation. So he was like, okay, if you want to get into this like seriously, like I'll give you a month of like free programs and stuff, and like we'll see how it goes. Um, And like I loved it. I loved it. So that was maybe 3 months before. So I might have had 3-ish months of prep going in. So not just like screw it, I'll go on a random weekend. So yeah.
Mhm.
That's dope, man. Yeah, for me, I actually did Juggernaut AI back then.
Wow.
But that's dope. Yeah, yeah, you're still working with the same guy, yeah.
Yep.
Man, that's loyalty right there. That's sweet.
Mhm.
Okay, but I mean, going a little bit further, so let's talk about your previous because you just competed in November.
Yep.
So, I know that was a long time ago. It's like 4 months ago. But any thoughts or feelings about that meet? I know you had a lot of friends there. It
Yeah.
was a great time.
It was a really good time. I thought I was the one thing I didn't know going in is how scoring was gonna work. Like I guess I like wasn't like fully explained in like the little document ten or whatever. But I knew it was like college like competition like college versus college or whatever. But I wasn't exactly sure like how placings worked, like what is first place kind of so many points. And I didn't realize that they were only taking first place finishes. I thought it was like a bracket like 15, 12, 10, something like that for first, second, third. Um that was like the only thing I really had a problem with. But everything else was like fantastic. Like great meet. Elizabeth does a great job running everything. So but for my like, personal performance, I don't know. I'm like very 50-50 about that meet because I came in with like a goal. I wanted 6:30. Because like I just come off of training with like um Josh, Zerlot, and like a few other people. And Josh did 6:30. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna match him because it was my first meet off of injury in like a year and a half. I'm like, no, like I want to put up something insane. And I came in and like these stupid Ramsey benches, and like I slightly tore my pec like 2 weeks before um
Wow.
that meet. Yeah, like very slight, like super slight. Because I was gonna put up 3:30. Like my whole thing is like I'm benching 3:30, and um I didn't get in 3:20, so like that was okay. I want to squat 500. We're still on that journey, but we'll get there.
Mhm.
And deadlift, I just fell forward on my last one, like that I guess you said. So just a little execution thing, like I thought I'd be fine with, but um, I fixed it now, so we'll see how it goes in April.
Okay, and while we're kind of on this subject, talking about opposition in the 75s. Obviously, in November, you competed against JI and Ivan. I know you and JI are close and have little friendly beefs, and you kind of chip at each other in the group chats. I see. So let's just first talk about JI. Like, what is y'all's relationship like? How do you separate, friendly chatter to your relationship with him?
Uh, Honestly, me and Jay are great friends. Like we do a lot of stuff together. We'll probably be going to states this weekend together, like driving in the same car. Um, he's like one of the first people I like met here that made me feel like comfortable talking about powerlifting. Like that was a big thing. And like he's awesome, like great influence, great guy. He takes his training super seriously. He does everything the right way. Um, so like the relationship we've built has mostly been like I'm your friend first and your competitor second. And so like I don't want to see him fail a lift ever. Like I want to beat him, but like I want to beat him because I outlifted him, not because he failed something. So
Yep.
that's just kind of what we built up. And it's really nice.
Mhm. And then
Okay.
also you competed against Ivan in his debut meet,
Yep.
and now y'all kind of have like a top four rankings looking at 75s going into, competing for Georgia and Cnats. How do you see all those battles, and like what is your motivation? Are there certain people you want to beat more, certain people you want to stop thinking they're better than you and such?
Um Ivan's strong, man. Like he's really strong. I want to beat him 100%. Uh like he was super cool about it after the meet. He was super cool, but I 100% want my get back. Like for sure. He put up a great performance. So he's looked strong in his prep too. Like we follow each other. Like I've been keeping tabs a little bit just like to see. Um for sure I want to beat him. Honestly, like this one for me is like this is a very personal meet. So like this has nothing to do with really anyone else at this point because I was supposed to do CNATs last year and I got hurt. Like I
Mhm.
got a lower back strain in January of last year. So I was ready to like I thought I was gonna put up an insane total and then like it all got messed up in the whole thing. So like being a senior, this is like my last year to compete in Cnats. So like I like a goal would be like to place top 10. I've seen the roster, it's ridiculous. So we'll see how it goes. But like it definitely like more of a personal thing than beat anyone else specifically. But like if there was someone, it's definitely Ivan.
Okay, yeah, no. Speaking of the roster, man, I saw 88 people.
88 people,
Um,
dude. Yeah.
yeah, so top 10 in an 88 person division is very nice. Uh, but that's dope. Yeah, okay. Ivan's the number one on the hit list for Sequoyeth.
Yes, sir. And then you kind of mentioned goals going in top 10. Are there any like specific weight goals you want? Like, are you looking for that 330 bench? Are you looking for that? You mentioned the 300 squat or whatever squat. What are your specific lift goals?
Yeah.
If
For
you can
some
share.
reason, like, yeah, no, it's fine. For some reason, like I cannot squat. I don't know what it is. Like every time I feel like I figure something out, it just takes a little longer than like I would think to get it to translate. So I just want to squat 500, man. Like, a lot of people in CCPL, like they gave me like fake, like whatever for not being like not squatting 500 when JI does squat 500. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm tired of that. That's never again. And, that's really it, honestly. Like that's the big one for me.
I got you. I got you. And then obviously,
500.
500 is a big number for you. But kind of let's go into that was your motivation for CNATs. We looked at that. Let's go into your inspirations in the sport specifically. Who do you look at that's on the higher level? Like who inspires you to be better?
I guess there's a few people. Like, obviously, I talked about Russ, and like he's the one that got me into it originally, and like his consistent grind mentality, like never being satisfied, even though he's always been the best, has always been like something that's super. I guess like not something I've been like looking up to, but something I like wanted to be like. Um,
Mhm.
for I guess a different aspect is like Taylor Atwood for sure. Obviously he was the best in my weight class for literally since I started.
Mhm.
Um, but like him just doing things the right way, like he has his beefs and stuff online, but like I've never seen him be outright disrespectful to anyone or like have any moments. Like that's been a big one. Austin right now obviously is running the game in 75.
Yeah.
So it's like also cool and also ridiculous to see him just blowing up every record that's ever existed in our weight class
Mhm.
and doing it at RP7. I'm kind of salty. Um, yeah, just like people like that. And here for sure. Honestly, I would say Bryce. Like he's extremely committed and like he's an engineering major too. So like him finding the time and like going through everything and being as consistent as he is. And like like I mean like everyone complains, but he never complains about the work. It's always just I don't have any time, which is like everyone. So yeah, he's definitely someone else too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then
Yes.
you kind of mentioned like looking to Russ and that kind of made you want to be in the sport. Was there anyone local like at your gym that like pushed you over the edge to start getting serious about it and not just watching and doing?
Yeah, so not a powerlifter, but back like originally before I switched over to true running powerlifting was the whole thing. Um there was a guy I met named Phil, like much older than me, but like he had saw me lifting and like we had talked um a few times in the gym, just like
Mhm.
yeah, sharing a rack or whatever. And when I told him about it, he was like, no, like you should definitely pursue this. Like this is definitely something I think you could be good at. And I was like 5'6", like 130 pounds. So I was like, what? I was gonna look at him like, dude, you're crazy. Like I could never do that. Like that's no. Um, but yeah, like he's definitely someone like pushed me on the path and like he always kept me like super honest with myself. Cause I'd be like, I'd be like 16, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bench like 300. He's like, dude, you are not benching 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like as I got closer like to certain things, like he'd be like, "Oh yeah, but you should try this," or like maybe do this, like kind of like an in-person coach. Like pretty much every day I went, he was there really consistently. So yeah, really good guy.
Phenomenal. And then we also kind of
That's
mentioned,
fire.
Austin, Atwood, and honestly, the 75, 74s is like one of the most interesting places to be in the sport right now.
Yeah.
With Tim going like he did at Sheffield, Carl, You got Shell Buckland raising the record for them, and then Atwood coming in, like you said, RP 7 day, breaking everything. Like how much do you keep up with all them guys? I know you keep up with Atwood, but do you follow it strict on all levels?
Not really, to be honest. I'm not as informed as I should be, probably on like my own weight class, because
Mhm.
um at least for like from my personal point of view, it's like I don't want to watch other people do things that I want to do. Like there's just no reason for that. Like one guy, I saw recently pop up on my explore page, whatever it was like Tony Wynn. He's competing at Cnats.
Yeah.
And like I just happened to find him on my For You page like 3 days before registration, and he happened to like sign up. I'm like, dude, he's crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just like I like separating
Mhm.
like the top two, three in the weight class from like everywhere else. Cause like that's like the only place I would ever want to be. And not
Yeah.
like no discrediting to everyone else. Like obviously there's a bunch of the people that are great, but like whoever's top two or three in that little rotation, like that, those are the people I'm usually looking at.
I got you for sure.
Yeah.
And then we also
man.
mentioned your
Tony
coach.
Wynn is.
Yeah.
Yes, we also mentioned your coach, and then I've seen you train in the gym. It's not the typical, 5-3-1, five, that typical progression. Speak on that, and if you like how much you enjoy that, and like I know it kills you doing all those reps, but I mean you see it transfer. Obviously, your bench is crazy, and it's going to transfer on your squat when you go to Cnats. How do you like that style of training?
We've honestly had to take a different approach because I've talked about it a few times already. Like I've had like minor injury history and then like one major one with my lower back. So like um yeah, like a lot of people are going now with like the 4 week approach or the 5 week approach. And that's like that's just not something that's worked for me, especially with school and like stress and like all that.
Mhm.
So we're more on like a building phase and then a prep phase. Like that's kind of what we've um come up with over the years that's like worked really well.
Yeah.
So like in that building phase, it might actually be 8 or 9 sets of squats for like triples, doubles, working into singles. And it's never crazy heavy, but like the technique needs to be there, the execution needs to be there. Um like that's kind of like the motto that we've built it around. And
Mhm.
sometimes I enjoy it, sometimes I don't because I want to go heavy like everyone else. But when I get to the point of like I PR'd a couple weeks ago on squat and I'm like, oh, like I feel the difference for what this feels like now versus what it would have felt like before we did this.
Mhm.
Um, and so I've really enjoyed like the long-term visualization, like seeing the gains come in.
Yeah.
But also I wouldn't be opposed to the 4 week approach either. I think it's great. Like obviously it's working for everyone. So Tony, I think
Mhm.
that's what you're on too, right?
Yep, man. I did my 4 week blocks. I used to do 6 last year whenever I was getting ready for state last year, but I like 4 a lot more personally. But yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I mean, like you're kind of the only guy we know that's under your coach, and yeah, your training does look interesting. It is working because I mean we're going to CNATs,
Yep.
and but I guess a little bit more deeper. I was gonna ask you. You said that you looked up to Russ for his mindset, things like that over your whole course of your powerlifting career. What would you say your mindset and training philosophies kind of are you more of like an extreme lifter, like, hey, I gotta like really get in there, get it in, like do it the right way, whatever, or do you kind of, hey, I just want to have fun and you know do what I find myself enjoying because that's what's going to keep me in the sport the longest.
Right. Um, I'm really competitive. Like I'm extremely competitive. So for me,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, if I can be better today than I was yesterday, like no matter what the weight is on the bar, like that's a win for me. Like so, one thing like this block has been pause deadlift. Like my friends will like give me like a ton of crap because they're like, "Oh, your pauses suck." So like when I get a good one, like I'm talking about it. Like Eli's in there watching me just yeah, just right through it. Like when I get a good one, like I'm gonna talk about it. It's like, no, yeah, like you can't say anything. I did that. So that's like that's my mentality. Like every day is like one step closer to like that bigger goal, that top three goal, like top three placing goal, the Sheffield goal, if you want to put it that way. So that's kind of like my mentality.
Yeah.
And on that, like I've never seen anyone as focused on beating their last set more than you. Like you had like a 5x5 pause deads, and every set you just wanted to be better than the last. And like I've never seen anyone that focused on just consistently being better than what they were 10 seconds ago. It was not even competition against other people, it's competition against yourself. So I admire you for that. But also talking about your coach still, like I think it's really important that you built such a long relationship with him. You know, I can't do math the number of years, but I feel like lately I've been seeing a lot more coach hopping or people just kind of switching because they don't like it or they're not given enough time to settle in and actually know each other. Like it's one thing to go from a lower coach to a higher coach, but just it's like, oh, $30 to $15 to $12, just trying to find what best fits you, but never building that relationship. So I think that's a really good thing that you've done. Yeah, something, Tony?
Oh, I didn't. No, I didn't. I was just nodding my head, but I said three because they'd been together for 3 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is a sick point. That's what I mentioned earlier. I was like, yeah, I don't really see too many people around anymore. And that's like a whole another topic for another day that, Avery would love to discuss, but he's not here today. But yeah, just, how many people are kind of coaching and how, hard it is kind of for an athlete to, especially a newer athlete that is just so young and impressionable, like it's hard for them to kind of find somebody that they really want to stick with because there's just this guy that's doing $20 and then there's this other guy that has like 5 national level athletes and stuff like that. So I mean, how do you think staying with the same coach this whole time has affected you as an athlete?
I would be lying if I said I'd never considered like branching out and like going somewhere, just trying something different. Um, but it's never been a serious like consideration for me actually leaving because it's always like with me and my coach specifically, it's always been very individualized. Like that's something I like. I think like the difference between like my prep and someone like on team field, for example, is like they're all on the same block at the same time, which is really cool. Like, but I love Jazz. Like her program is great. Um, but like for me specifically, like I don't want to feel like I'm in a group. Like it's a very individual thing for me personally. So like I'd like it to be like that. Um, so if I was ever like going to leave, it would be for that same vibe that I have right now. Like, okay, this is like your training for this week. Like, let me know if this or this doesn't work so we can go work around it. Or like, how are you feeling on Wednesday about this lift on Saturday? But like this specific one, because of something we talked about 2 or 3 months ago, that like
Mhm.
kind of comes into like fruition a little bit later. Like that's what I like. And I feel like if I would have gone somewhere else, I wouldn't get that same like I wouldn't say like exclusive treatment. I think that's a really like entitled way of putting it, but like um individualized like focused training that's like slightly different from like a coach having more athletes, I guess, in the same space. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel that for sure. I mean, I definitely like having a different coach than everybody. And obviously, Classic City has been known to have more jazzy, but as I've met people, it's been less and less and mixed through. I feel like I do things slightly differently with Avery, but I'm not as like different as you, but I think we're all working towards the common goal. It all lines up at one point, when we're 4 weeks out, we're going to be hitting similar stuff. But I kind of like the only reason I'm with Avery is because that client coach relationship of like I could coach myself, not as good, but close to as good. But just having someone over you who's like, okay, I don't have to worry about putting the numbers in. I don't have to worry about, planning the variations for what's best for me. And then having that piece of advice over me has been helpful for the past year. And I mean, that's the whole point of the coach client relationship. But let's just talk about moving past Cnats and everything, your dreams in the sport. Obviously, you're competitive. You want to be greater than you are. How far do you want to go in the sport?
All of it, man. Like I at some point like I'd love to leave 75 and go up to 82s. Um I know Bornstein just got up there too. He's been killing it. I saw him pull 750 today, and that is absurd. So um I like it, all of it, man. Like I would love to be the best, like in any way class at any point, and then like continue that because like this is definitely something I've seen like myself being able to do as I've gotten further into the sport.
Mhm.
Um, like just if I'm able to stay healthy, I feel like I have like a really high growth potential. And
Yeah.
I feel like meet to meet, like it kind of shows like a little bit, but this is like the first time in a prep I've been like fully focused. Like I feel like a big thing for especially like people our age is like going through the college experience while also trying to focus on your lifts at the same time. Like I'll be honest, like I went out way too much last semester. Like that mean November was not my best because I was like just not like as focused. But this one is like the first one in a while where I felt like I'm dialed in. Like I know like what I'm prepping for and like specifically not doing anything out of the way to like hinder myself from going that direction. So I feel like if I can keep that, like I feel like I could go pretty far. So
Yeah, sure. I mean, I definitely see that in you. I see that you got a dog in you, and you're really wanting to be something great every time you train. You can just tell it from watching you. But you did mention something there with like we had a little episode on it, controlling variables. Going out too much, focusing more. What all? Because I know also Ji pokes fun at you for your bulk and such. But what all do
yeah.
you like tracking calories, tracking sleep? What all do you focus on trying to be better?
Um, Sleep is a big one for me. Like food's always been like a hard subject because like not from an eating disorder standpoint or anything, but like um gaining weight's just like been more difficult for me. No idea why. So that's something like I've been a little more lenient on myself with because I feel like mentally, if like I'm tracking 3,500 and like I think it might get to me if I'm like, oh, like I'm not getting any weight, like I have to eat more. So like that's something I've held back on. Um, but like sleep for sure. Like if I make sure like I take enough naps to supplement whatever I'm missing if I have a bad sleep night or whatever, like I will take a nap. And it's kind of been like that's been another joke going on CCPL. It's like my nap time because people will text me from like 1 to 3, or I guess like 1:30 to 3 on like a Monday, and I am not there. I am out. I'm asleep. So that's been the biggest one for sure.
Yeah, that's valid. It's valid. And then also outside of people, inspirations, like what, with your sporting background throughout your life, not just powerlifting, what's been inspiring you to be the greatest, not just by example, but why is that in your heart? Why is that what your mind's set on?
Like in my mind, being the best is not like only being really good at your sport. It's like what how other people see you and like what your effect on the community has been. And so like I've grown up like literally since before I was born watching LeBron play basketball. And like I know like the media doesn't get everything, but like from like what we've been able to see, he's never done anything negative, like ever. And I think that's a great representation of not only him and like his family, but basketball. Like you don't have to be like even though he's not from like the greatest area growing up, you don't have to act a certain way or be a certain way to like be successful and like be the best. And I think that for me was like huge growing up. So
Mhm.
um seeing him now and like having like his kids be almost my age, and watching them do like the same exact thing and handle it the same way, it's like, yeah, like that's like a mark I want to leave. Like you don't have to be problematic or um like people's like have like we said, like have like a dog, but like not inflict that on other people, like just to
Mhm.
keep going and like build that mentality. Like, it doesn't have to be like tear down to build somebody up. You can just get better.
And you are one of the most well-spoken guests we've had on so far. All your answers are beautiful. I
Thank you.
love them. But in that, you said LeBron. What other influences did you look towards outside of powerlifting growing up in the sporting world? Or was that just the
Um,
biggest one?
that's for sure my biggest one. I would say Derek Jeter on the same front. My dad was a huge Yankees fan, like he's from New York. So I've been to a game or two, and I don't know, man. Like he's just there's just something different about him. Like I can never explain it. Like he was never the best player on the field, like best player, but like everything he did just worked. And like the way he handled himself on and off the field was just like it was like the model. Like that's what you wanted to be growing up. Like you wanted to be the star in New York, and you wanted to like I don't know if y'all have seen like the Instagram meme about like his dating resume. It's like insane.
Mhm.
Um, and he goes and like he helps like kids get better and like he donates to foundations, communities, the whole thing. So like that was someone else growing up, like being the biggest star, but also being like you, and also like how committed he was is incredible. Tom Brady as well. Like he everything he's ever put into the sport has been like positive from my point of view. And like that competitive drive, like I feel like stepped up the league to a level it wasn't at before because like him and like his team creating a dynasty, like
Yeah.
the best dynasty, and then going from there was like huge to me. Just like watching the best people do the best stuff, and then
Mhm.
seeing like how they do it and why they do it, and like kind of modeling it after that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you for sure, especially with the Tom Brady. Like I've always looked towards athletes that weren't physically the best, weren't gifted like with their body, weren't genetically meant for this, but put in the hours, put in the work, are intelligent, actually are driven to the sport and they succeed. And that's what I look like in powerlifting. Like obviously you're gonna have your freaks, you're gonna have your genetic anomalies that just show out and naturally do it. And people built to pull, people built to squat. But I really enjoy watching people who it's like you've seen them fail so many times. Like Sean Noriega, I love the guy. Hey, but like you've seen him fail so many times, go out there, but he just keeps on going. And one day, hopefully, he'll come back and be the man. But that's kind of always been my mindset with that. So Tom Brady kind of clicked that. But outside of people, like give us some inspirational movies, shows, or music that you listen to going into the gym. Something that hypes you up or gets you going. Could
Oh
be
man,
sport related, could be anything.
that's a good question. Honestly, it's gonna sound really weird, not gonna lie to you, but I like every time before like I go to the gym, like it could be a normal lift or like a PR day. Like I go in the shower for like 10 or 15 minutes and like just turn the lights off and just like put on music. Like it kind of just like it feels like a little bridge, I guess, like going from the day or like life or whatever, and like you're going to the gym, you're about to go train. It's like okay, like I don't need any of that. Like leave that at 3 p.m. or like whatever, because I train at like 5-ish. So like leave that at 3. Like we're going to 5. Like we don't have to worry about that for like next 2 hours or whatever it is, and like just go train. Like that's huge for me. I'm a big rap guy. Like I listen to pretty much almost anything. Like I don't really listen to a lot of country, but like pretty much anything else. And um, what have I listened to recently? Oh, dude, like Carnival that just came out. That song is insane. I love that song. So like that's been like my thing of the last week and a half. That song is like nuts. Like that completely changed my like my vibe like when it comes to hype music going forward the next month and a half. So yeah.
I got you. Tony's laughing because he got two
Yeah, that's
songs
cool.
into the new album and stopped listening to it.
Oh, dude, you have to listen to
I
Carnival.
do.
No, he hit his PR to it,
Well,
I think.
no, I like Carnival, but I don't like the album Vultures. That the album, it's like not for me. Of
Yeah.
course, some of my favorite albums I didn't like at first, but I don't really like Vultures, honestly. But yeah, that's cool. The whole meditation thing in the shower. I feel like that, like you said, bridging that gap between regular life and then the gym, just kind of like locking in. Yeah. But I was gonna ask, you know, kind of getting back to Cnats. We talked a little bit about your favorite meet already, the Atlanta Open.
Yeah.
So, what are some things, maybe production wise, or just uh, maybe even? I mean, we've already talked a little bit about the competition, everything like that. But what are some things that you're hoping to see at Cnats, or like get in your experience going?
Like from like an environment perspective or like setup the whole thing.
Yeah, like the production of it, the
Okay.
environment, like are you looking forward to being on that big live stream and having all those spectators?
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like one thing this is like super niche, but I feel like one thing like they've never done is make like a circle around the platform. Like that, I know you can't go behind, but like I guess like a semicircle, I guess, and like cut it off like on the side. I feel like that'd be so cool. Um, like getting like the full effect of like the crowd being around you, not just like in front of you. Because I feel like it is a performance for sure. And like I grew up, I was in band in high school, and like having people in front of you to me just feels like a performance. Where like if you're on the side, it feels like a concert, like an event, like something is happening at least from like a performer standpoint. So that'd be awesome. I know they're probably not going to do it, but like that'd be sick. A TSS rack, thank God, no more Lycos. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm so tired of the Lyco racks.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. TSS is my favorite as well. The Alico. I've never actually used one, but everybody says it's super hard.
It
And
is, dude. It's like a brick.
yeah, yep, that's what everybody says. So I'm not looking forward to using that in May, but TSS is great. You'll love that, you know.
Yeah, I've
It's
trained
the
with a few
junior
already, and they're always super nice. So I'm
yeah,
excited.
it's the junior fat pad for sure. It's like
Oh yeah.
it's beautiful. I love it. But obviously going past that, after Cnats, there's a lot of switching going back and forth, PA, USAPL. Do you have a plan for where you want to be after Cnats?
Not really. Like it's something I want to like. I'm more on a wait and see little approach right now because I have no idea what's gonna happen. I don't know if anyone does, but like a lot of the top lifters going over to PLA is making it like really intriguing, like making me think about wanting to switch.
Mhm.
But like until I see a reason to, like a full-on reason to, like from either a meet structure standpoint or like maybe they'll have more mid-level meets. 'Cause I know USAPL, like that's the one thing I don't like. It's like nationals and locals. I know they're trying to change that with regionals, but
Mhm.
we'll see how that goes too. That's like really what I've been looking at because like the last thing I would want to do is like switch and then be like, oh, like this like sucks. And then I think it's like a year for that switch. Something weird to go on with that. I don't know. Before you can compete in USAPL again and then like have to take a year off for like no reason. So I don't know. I don't really have a plan yet. I don't know if either of you do either, but
Yeah, I mean Tony's going PA. He's committed for sure.
okay.
I'm in the air. I don't really care to do either. I kind of just want to retire and stay at home and not do anything anymore. But is there anything like you kind of mentioned locally and you kind of mentioned like, the semicircle environment of a meet, having everybody surround you. Is there anything in a local meet that you could see a federation do that would drive you to switch either way? Is there anything like
Um,
dream
yeah,
of?
in a local meet. I don't know about a local meet to be honest, because like sometimes the venue is really weird and like they don't have space or like
Mhm.
yeah, like little logistical problems like they can't really control. But I we need to be able to pick our walkout songs. Like that should be universal. I don't know why that's like not just a thing. Like for your third attempts, like specifically your third attempts, you should be able to pick your walkout song. That's one thing that like really bugs me. That's like a pet peeve.
I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, I mean, there's some meets that just randomly do that. I mean, at some, if you know the meet director, they'll throw something on for you. But I don't know. That's kind of like in my head, that's something you earn by being in prime time. Like a prime time meet, you must have that. Or if you're in like the past DNA meet, I feel like that they had a few song requests in there to kind of hype people up. Maybe this next DNA meet will be so small that they'll be able to implement that. But yeah, it definitely is something until you have someone playing, like piano, instrumentals, Bach from the whatever. That's when
Yeah.
it gets crazy. But as we kind of wind this thing down, let me ask you this. What has powerlifting done for you? Like, where would you be if you never had powerlifting? What impact has it had on your life?
That's a good
Big.
question. Yeah. Um, yeah, like this sport has definitely changed my life in like a positive way. I've made so many friends that like I feel like I'll stay connected with long after graduating and all that because of the sport. And I feel like going like as I get older, like I have the potential to like leave a lasting impact in the sport. Whether like I do want to start a gym at one point, so like that'd be huge. Um, like I do want to branch out and like help people who are like not into powerlifting, but like have started, like just give them advice, like just walk them and be like a helping hand or whatever. Like other people have been like for all of us. Um, and like without that, I feel like I'd be more like in my own lane because I kind of like just I don't like I'll yap like during training and all that, but like for me, like I'm a very individual person when it comes to that. So I don't know if I would have branched out as much as I like have if it wasn't for like meeting Bryce or like starting the club. Like I don't think I would even know like half the people I know right now. So it's been huge and like just for like my mental too. Um like knowing you get to train, like I train every day like at 5 p.m. Like I don't really go at a different time or like 4:30, like whenever.
Mhm.
Like having something to look forward to in the day and like something I enjoy doing like genuinely that like with no pressure from anyone else, like no real expectations besides like myself and like I guess other people that like do it with me. It's like really cool. So yeah.
Hmm. And do you feel like if you hadn't gotten into powerlifting, would you have gotten to something like bodybuilding? Would you have kept pursuing physical training or would you have just played Call of Duty and, did all that?
Well, I still play Call of Duty. But yeah, I feel like I for sure would have gotten into bodybuilding because it's always interested me, but like I stopped going down that route once I knew like what powerlifting was.
Yeah.
And ironically, like got into it like right as the sport started blowing up, like that 2018, 2019 era. So um yeah, like that's definitely like what I would have gone into, more bodybuilding type stuff. Maybe I'd be doing
Mhm.
shows. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely the route I saw myself going.
Yeah. And then as we wrap it up, we have 3 questions we ask everybody. One, what gives some advice to a newer lifter? Let's just say you meet someone in the gym. Obviously, you're higher up in Classic City. What is some brand new lifter advice to help them through their powerlifting career?
Don't be impatient. Um, like you're not gonna bench what you want to bench in 5 years tomorrow. Like you're going to go through little like nagging injuries like everyone else does in the sport. Like there's going to be hiccups, but like I feel like some people get really impatient when they get injured and they're like, oh, like I'm not good enough. Like I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this. But like if you like everything's like happening for a reason. If you find out like why you're having those like negative moments, like you will definitely be able to go through it. And, like you'll be like a better lifter, yeah, but like also better mentally, like you for doing that. I feel like that
Mhm.
happens in like a lot of sports, like not just powerlifting, like baseball growing up, but it's like, oh, like I'm never gonna throw 100 miles per hour, so I'll never make the MLB. But like there's a million pitchers in the MLB that don't throw 100 miles per hour. So like
Mhm.
you can still be good without it being like you said, like a genetic freak and anomaly. And so I
Yeah.
have to like definitely be patient. That's my advice.
Yeah, I feel that. And it's also like you got to just sit back and grind through the hard work. For powerlifting specifically, it's like you just got to create momentum. You just got to keep
Yep.
going forward. You're gonna have little hiccups, but you just got to keep rolling.
Yep.
Keep rolling with the punches. But yeah. So next, any mistakes you made going through your career? Any things you would take back? You wish you didn't push this too hard. Go here, skip
Yeah.
out on this. Any of that?
I wish I would have. That's not true. Actually, that's not true. I wish I would have prioritized my training when I first started, as like every session is important.
Mhm.
Um, because like if it wasn't like a heavy set or whatever, I'd be like, oh, like it doesn't matter. Like I'm just like doing normal training. But I wish when I first started, like I would be more like I am now and be like, no, like that set sucked. Like I can do better than that. It's lightweight. I should be doing better than that. Um, and focusing on like just being more efficient with my training time. Because like at least for me, I train 4 times a week. Like I only train 4 times a week. I don't have the everyday thing like bodybuilders do. Or like if they have like, oh, I missed my accessory today, you can go make it up the next day. Like we don't really have that option because of like how fatigue works for us. So yeah, it's definitely for sure one thing I wish I fixed.
Sure. And then almost the last one, technique tip on either three of the lifts. You could do one, you could do all three. What's something that you've implemented that's been a game changer in your head?
Everyone likes to ask me about bench, so I'll go on that one. What's a good one? Don't actually no, I'm gonna say with like what you should do. You should focus on like being comfortable. Because most people, um, like they're like, oh, I want this like massive arch or like I want this insanely low range of motion. It's like if you're not comfortable doing it, like you're gonna get hurt. But two, you're not gonna be able to maximize like yourself to the highest potential. So
Mhm.
I was like, one thing like I've had to fix recently is like I would over tighten my back. So like when I'm
Yeah.
setting my back, I would squeeze too hard, and like my lats go in and make my elbows flare. Um, I don't know why I was trying so hard. Like I could do like the same thing for my top set that I do for every other warm up set, but like it feels different. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to be different. I don't know, but um, for sure, just making sure you're comfortable and do squeeze your back when you bench. I guess that'd be like a little 2 for 1.
Mhm. I got you. I mean, I for sure feel like I overdo my bench setup a lot. That's what I'm trying to fix right now is not over scapular
Yeah.
protraction and all. But specifically for you, I don't really ask everyone this, but obviously you're graduating this year. what has been something or what can be something that newer kids can do to help them manage school or work and training and be successful? Because I see it a lot recently. Some of my guys, some of Avery's guys, they're just not being able to handle life and training and be successful, whether it's financially or time wise. Is there anything you have for them?
I think financially is a little harder to speak to because like everyone's in a different situation. But if I had to say something, I would say make a budget. Like honestly, like it's the most basic advice ever, but it genuinely helps you. Like if like just understanding, oh, like I can't buy like Ergo Pro knee sleeves right now because I have to sign up for Cnats. Like that stuff like that. Just little like simple things like making those decisions is definitely what I would say. And balancing like school and training and work and all that. I know it's hard for a lot of people, but I feel like as we got older, making your actions very deliberate is like the biggest key. Like if you know you work from 3 to 7 and you have to train at 8, like getting off work at 7:30 isn't going to set you up for like a good training session. Like you might have to be like, hey, I have to leave at 7, because you're going to be stressed and like rushing and all that, like the whole thing. So
Yeah.
like yeah, like making sure your actions are deliberate, like studying when you say you're going to study. I'm not the best about that either, so I probably shouldn't talk on it. But like, yeah, it's definitely something I've seen help a lot of people for sure. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because I actually need new knee sleeves because these ones are like loose as crap, and I can't buy any because of how expensive CNATs was, and I'm a broke boy. But any shout outs you want to have, any call outs, plug your Insta, plug CCPL, anybody.
yeah. Obviously, shout out Classic City Powerlifting. Shout out my parents. Honestly, they've been super supportive of me on this whole thing. So, um, yeah, they've always been there to help me. Shout out everyone that has either given me advice or like has asked me for advice, honestly, like both ways. Specifically Joel, like Joel Chong.
Mhm.
He has given me more deadlift tips than I can imagine. And Greg Liu. So shout out both of them specifically.
Yeah.
Um, Siraj as well for starting Shoeborn and making that a great environment. And my Instagram is, well, I have two, but like my gym Instagram is at Sequoyeth. If you don't know how to spell that, just start with SEQ and it should just pop up. Um, Classic City Powerlifting on Instagram. Come to our events. Come to Ramsey on Fridays at 5 p.m. We have Funky Friday. And yeah, I think that's it.
Phenomenal. And then is there any message you want to send out to those other 75s getting ready to kind of go into prep for CNATs?
Yeah, man, I'm healthy.
Yes, sir. We're on our way. Like to hear it. Well, you've been phenomenal. One of our, like I said, well-spoken guests. You're a natural here. Definitely want to have you on post CNATs to get your opinions on it and everything. But really enjoyed having you on. Glad you could be here. And you've been great.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This is awesome.
Peace.